thank you so much for today. We thank you so much for everyone who's here. We pray for our minds and our hearts and our ears to hear what you have for us today, dear Lord. We are so thankful and blessed that you go before us and line the path for everything that we do. Lord, I pray for everyone who is not here, for those who are hurting, for those who need you. I pray that they can call out to you. Lord, I pray for the message as it's brought to us today, and pray that it doesn't fall on deaf ears. Be with us as we lead everyone in worship. May we give you the worship that you so righteously deserve. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. All right, let's stand up and sing. Or sing, whichever phonics option you'd like to use.
Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good. Lord, have you forgotten me? I've been praying to you faithfully.
search the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise and treasures that they are never enough. Then you came along, put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountain is the God of the valley. There's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into awning. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Let's all sing. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you.
Good morning. I think, are they doing children's church? Anybody? Yeah, they're doing children's church, so if you got kids, y'all can go to children's church. So I told Matt, and Matt had mentioned to me several weeks ago, he said, you know, he was thankful to have guys that would come up and preach and fill in, and, you know, a lot of people are not blessed with that, to have that option. He said Dakota a lot of times will say, hey, man, if you just need a break, you know, I'll give you a break, you know, and, you know, I've preached several times, and, you know, you don't realize what it takes to put into a message, you know, and not only on top of life and your job and your kids and activities and your personal relationship with God and reading His Word for personal fulfillment, then also you're preparing a message, you know, on top of that, and it's a lot, you know, and so I'm just thankful Matt's willing to do what God calls him to do and do that. About 3 o'clock this morning, yeah, I was laying in the bed and I woke up and God said, I'm sending thou the word to thee, you know, which He didn't say it like that, but I'm like, look, God, your Apple Watch go dead, you know, you on a different time zone. I mean, it's 3 a.m. You know, I mean, I got to sleep, you know. I figured if you want me to see the sunrise, you'd have made it at the crack of noon, you know. And so, you know, I mean, and a lot of times it's that way, you know, is that, you know, I mean, I could imagine, you know, not sleeping the night before every Sunday, you know, and that's tough. So if y'all see Matt, give him a big hug, give him a Copenhagen kiss if Mallory ain't looking or something like that, and just tell him that you appreciate him, because I'm telling you, it's a lot, you know, and I don't know that I could do it all the time, but I'm thankful that He allows me to you know, preach from time to time, and it's really a blessing to be able to do it. But this morning, kind of what I was, God's laid on my heart, you know, what does it take to be a Christian? You know, I mean, Matt's talked about being intentional in what we do and doing God's will for our life, and a lot of other things here recently. And but what actually does God say that we as Christians should look like? And so that's what we're going to look at this morning. But before we do, we're going to pray. Father, we just come to you this morning, God. We thank you for this beautiful fall day, God. We thank you to allowing us to come into your house of worship this morning, God. We just pray that you be with me, God, that you just get me out of the way, God, that it's not about me. I have nothing to offer, God, and that your word will spread among us and prepare us to be more like you. Just be with us as we go through this week, God, and just protect us, keep us safe. Be with those that are sick and hurting, God, until we meet again. In your name we pray. Amen. So, 5 things that we should show as a Christian. As Christians, we must live our lives that distinguish us from the world. You know, that's the only way anybody sees any difference. The Bible teaches us to live a life that honors God and shines His light to the world. So, I mean, it's a lot of our responsibility, you know, to share God's word and to live our life in a way that it would make people want what we have as a Christian. And I think that's the way Jesus came on this earth. You know, He lived a life of an example. He said, I come to save, not condemn. So, you know, Jesus was our best example as flesh and blood as to how we live our lives. And so the first point is read God's word daily. Acts 17:11. And Acts 17:11 says this, and the people of Berea were more open-minded than those in Thessalonica, and they listened eagerly to Paul's message. They searched the scriptures day after day to see if Paul and Silas were teaching the truth. You know, don't depend on Matt to give you God, the only God's word that you get, or me or anybody. Don't depend on anybody. Read God's word daily so that you know, because God's word is your knowledge, and that's what allows you and helps you to be able to understand what God wants in your life. And so you have to read God's word daily. You cannot depend on anybody else. So, and also in Proverbs chapter 2, it says the benefits of wisdom is the title of the chapter. And I'm going to read the whole chapter. It says, "My child, listen to what I say and treasure my commands. Tune your ears to wisdom and to concentrate on understanding. Cry out for insight and ask for understanding. Search for them as you would for silver and seek them like hidden treasures. Then you will understand what it means to fear the Lord, and you will gain the knowledge of God. For the Lord grants wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He grants a treasure of common sense to the honest. He is a shield to those who walk with integrity. He guards the paths of the just and protects those who are faithful to him. Then you will understand what is right and just and fair, and you will find the right way to go. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will fill you with joy. Wise choices will watch over you. Understanding will keep you safe. Wisdom will save you from evil people, from those whose words are twisted. These men turn from the right way to walk down dark paths. They take pleasure in doing wrong and enjoy the twisted ways of evil. Their actions are crooked and their ways are wrong. Wisdom will save you from the immoral woman, from the seductive words of the promiscuous woman. She has abandoned her husband and ignores the covenant she made before God. Entering her house leads to death. It is the road to the grave. The man who visits her is doomed. He will never reach the paths of life. Follow the steps of good men instead, and stay on the path of the righteous. For only godly will live in the land, and those with integrity will remain in it. But the wicked will be removed from the land, and the treacherous will be uprooted. So that tells us a lot, of God's wisdom and how much God's wisdom is important to us, to teach us from right and wrong. I think, first, once we become a Christian, then it, it's important, the most important to learn God's word and understand what's right and wrong. We have that instilled in us once we become a Christian, but you still have to read God's word to know what God says to and not to do. So that's one of the biggest points. The second point is to live in obedience and love others, and these two kind of go together. The third thing I was going to say was to love others. So both of these 2 and 3 go together. It says if we obey God and love others, it will change the world. Really, if we do what God asks us to do in our life and we love other people, it would change the world. And Jesus says, what does he say? He says, when my word has been spread through all corners of the earth, that I shall return. So if, it's up to us to shine the light throughout all the corners of the world to fulfill God's purpose, so Jesus will return. That's how important it is for us to love others and share God's word and to live a life like Jesus asked us to. So in John chapter 15, verses 9 through 17, these are red words. These are words straight from God. It says, I have loved you even as the Father has loved me. Remain in my love. When you obey my commandments, you remain in my love, just as I obey my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you these things so that you will be filled with my joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. This is my commandment. Love each other in the same way I have loved you. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you slaves because master doesn't confide in his slaves. Now you are my friends since I have told you everything the Father told me. You didn't choose me, I chose you. I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit so that the Father will give you whatever you ask for using my name. This is my command. Love each other. Yeah, that's pretty simple. Love each other. But I don't know about y'all, but, it's hard for me to love everybody. And just be honest with you. I mean, sometimes I want to hit somebody. Sometimes I want to hit my kids. Sometimes I want to hit my wife. That'll make your child support go up. Don't do that. But, sometimes I can't stand to be around myself. I don't even love myself. We was out here in the arena a few Sunday nights ago, a few weeks ago, and the kids' small group was practicing goat tying. And I was standing there helping run the chute and stuff. And this right here, that's not the bird. Y'all ain't number one. That's his next door neighbor. But this right here, I lost this fingernail 2 days ago. I pinched it in the chute out there. And it turned solid blue, and it hurt. And I was dancing up and down, saying, Holy Mother of Mary, Jesus Christ, holy smokes, and everything else I could but what I wanted to say, because there was kids all around me, but it hurt. And I wasn't loving myself right now for being stupid enough to do what I did and mash my finger. And I really didn't want to be around myself. And I mean, so it's hard. It's hard to love others. It's hard to love each other. The Bible says that if your enemy asks for money as a loan, to not only give it to your enemy, but give it to them without expecting it in return. I mean, I know. Like me, if one of my family members come to me and ask me for a loan, I don't know if I'd even give them that. And if I did, I'd want it back, and I'd probably hold it against them if they didn't pay me back, when they said they was going to pay me back, how they said they was going to pay me back. And, it could kill a family because I would hold that against them. That's my family. But what if it's somebody that's done something bad, wrong to us, that's wronged us really bad? And then they come to us and ask you for money. And to not only give it, but not even expect it in return. That's hard for anybody. I don't care how much you read the Bible. I don't care how close you are to God. I don't care nothing about it. That's hard. But that's what it says, and it's hard to love others. So I know that I can do a whole lot better job at loving other people than what I'm doing right now. And, it's tough, but that's what God tells us to do. Also in John chapter 13, verse 34 and 35, it says this, flip over here. It says this, so now I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other just as I have loved you. You should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. That's 2 little verses. But it says that our love for God proves to others that we are his disciples. And that got me to think. I said, okay, if, I go down to the feed store and buy whatever I buy, and I leave the feed store, and the next guy walks in, and he says, do you think he was a follower of Christ? what would their answer be? Or if I walked in the gas station and bought a Dr. Pepper and I walk out and the next guy walks in and says, was he a follower of Christ? Or if I call my friends up, say, hey, do you think I'm a follower of Christ? Or if I call my family and say, do you think I'm a follower of Christ? What would their answer be? That's a hard pill to swallow. Because if we can't show the people at the feed store, the gas station, or even our own friends and family that we're a follower of Christ, then how in the world are we going to show somebody that's just Joe Blow on the street? But that's what it says. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. That's tough. And I've said before, and my daddy's kind of said, the worst thing in the world would be to pass away from this life and to be buried by a preacher that don't know you, that hadn't had a relationship with you, that just has to stand up there and tell good things about you that he really don't know if it's true or not. And if they walk by and see you at your viewing, what their thought's going to be, if it's going to be positive or negative, if they thought that we were a follower of Christ when we leave here or not. And anybody that knows you enough or is your friend or acquaintance enough to come to your funeral, they going to have a thought. They going to have a memory. That's why they're there, to remember you. So what's those memories going to be? I mean, that's some of the hardest stuff I could ever deal with. But if we prove to the world that we are God's disciples and we love them, they will seek God for the same love that we've shown. Just like Jesus. Jesus lived a life that he had thousands of people follow him out in the wilderness. He had 5,000 that followed him out in the wilderness, and he fed them. He had thousands in the city, and a woman was sick, and she just tried all she could do just to get to touch his cloak to be healed, and she did. Her faith that if she knew if she could just touch his cloak, that she would be healed, and he healed her. He lived a life that had a lot of followers. And so how many people are following us, and if they are following us, do they see that we're a Christ follower? That's a hard road to hoe, and I ain't very good at it. And I probably don't want to know what my friends would say or my family. But that's what God says. And the fourth point would be show God we are Christ followers. So if we love God first, then if we show others that we're Christ followers, then we show God that we're Christ followers. Paul commands the Colossian believers for the faith in Christ and love for all God's people. In Colossians 1, chapter 1, verses 3 through 6, it says, we always pray for you. We will give thanks to God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, for we have heard of your faith in Christ and your love for all of God's people, which come from your confined hope of what God has reserved for you in heaven. You have had this expectation ever since you first heard the truth of the good news. This same good news came to you is going out all over the world. It is bearing fruit everywhere by changing lives, and it has changed your lives from the day you first heard and understood the truth about God's wonderful grace. So, that's that's the way we show God. And Paul commands we must live life so that everyone knows we are Christ followers, not by our words, but by our actions of love to others. That's kind of the same deal, It ain't what we say, it's what we do. Our actions of who we encounter determine our love for others, and it determines our love for Christ. And that's how we show Christ, by doing His will in our life and keeping these commandments that He has given us. And I mean, it's hard, I mean, it's not an easy thing. And lastly, to show Him faith and good works, we have to show God that we have faith in Him, and then we have to do His works and fulfill His purpose in our life. So how do we show God that we have faith and good works? In James chapter 2, verse 19 through 24, it says this: "You say you have faith, for you believe that there is one God. Good for you. Even the demons believe this, and they tremble in terror. How foolish! Can't you see that faith without good deeds is useless? Don't you remember that our ancestor Abraham was shown to be right with God by his actions when he offered his son Isaac on the altar? You see, his faith and his actions work together. His actions made his faith complete. And so it happened just as the scriptures say. Abraham believed God, and God counted him as righteous because of his faith. He was even called the friend of God. So you see, we are shown to be right with God by what we do, not by faith alone. So not only do we have to have faith in God that He's going to do what is best for us in our life and take care of us, protect us, bless us in whatever it is that we do, but then we have to have the works to go with it. We have to be willing to give up our life and follow Christ daily. So, but, I know a lot of times, I want to go to church every time the door opens. I want to serve, and I want to, play the drums, and I want to come cook hot dogs for the youth at fifth quarter, and I want to do all these things, as works. But then I don't go read my Bible at the house when I get home in the evenings. I don't pray to God as much as I need to. I'm just trying to check these boxes off of doing God's work. And if y'all see me do it and serve God, then y'all think that I'm where I need to be. That ain't the way it works. You have to have those other four things before this fifth ever matters. You have to love God and love people and show God you love Him before the works ever matter. And I mean, I don't do that all the time. I mean, I don't read the Bible as much as I should. I don't pray as much as I should. I don't allow God to have the control in my life on a daily basis near as much as I should. I told this story a while back about my buddy's car tearing up. And he called me, and he worked for us at the time, and he called me and said, "Hey, Ashley, I'm right down the road at the Easy Express, and my car won't crank. Can you come jump me off?" I said, "Yes, sure." So I left the shop and just a mile down the road. I grabbed a jump box, and I'd go down there, and we put the jump box on it, wouldn't crank. So I said, well, maybe the jump box is messed up. Let's put battery cables on it. So I put battery cables on it, and I tried to crank his car with my truck, and still wouldn't crank. And I said, well, something else is wrong. So I got my voltmeter. I checked the meter, 12.3 volts in his battery. I said, your battery's fully charged. It's not your battery. So I chased the battery cables from the battery all the way to the engine, the negative and the positive. I checked it, made sure there wasn't no loose connections, tightened up everything. I even checked the hot cable on the starter to make sure it wasn't loose and it had a good connection. And everything was what it should be. And I said, we're going to have to call a wrecker. He said, I don't have the money to pay for a wrecker. And I said, well, we're going to have to hook a tow strap behind this service truck and haul you to the shop. It ain't but a mile down the back road. We can just pull you. And we'll put it on the car lift, and we'll work on it this evening. When we get off, figure it out, fix it. He said, all right. So I head from his car over to the service truck to grab my crane strap to tow him to the shop. And I got about halfway there, and I said, God, I can't fix this. I said, I've tried everything I know, and I can't fix it. Can you fix it? And he said, yeah, I can fix it. He said, go back and check the battery cables. And I said, God, why did you tell me to check the battery cables? You know I've done checked them from one end to the other. I've checked every connection there is. Why did you tell me to check them again? He said, go check the battery cables. I said, well, okay. I said, look, I'll go check the battery cables again, but you know I done checked them. Still didn't believe it. I was going to do what God asked me to do, but I still didn't believe it because I had done checked them. And I knew I was right. And I had done, made sure everything was good. But I go back and I check the battery cables. Well, about 1.5 feet from the battery cable is big water electrical tape. I said, what's that right there? He said, oh, that's where I changed from a side post battery to a top post battery. He said, but it's bolted together. It ain't no bad connection right there. I just pulled my pocket knife out. I've got it with me 24/7. And I cut the electrical tape off of it. Sure enough, there's a loose connection right there. I tightened it up, taped it back up. I go around there and hit the key, cranks right up. But see, I didn't ask God to fix it until I failed. I didn't need God. I know how to fix a car. I didn't need God. I'm fully capable as a grown man that I don't need God to fix a car. But I did. But a lot of times in life, we try to go through life and we try to do things, and then when we fail, when we put ourselves in situations that we shouldn't even be in, then we ask God to help us. And then we're already in a pickle. We done put ourselves in situations that we shouldn't even be in if we'd allowed God to be a part of it from the beginning, because He would have kept us from that. And, that's a struggle with me is especially as a man with, pride and ability. And, I can fix anything. I can do electrical, plumbing work. I can run heavy equipment. If it's broke, I can fix it. That's what I've done all my life. I fixed it. We've got 200 heat pumps that I used to maintain for 9 years by myself. I used to fully wire the whole building. I built 1,600 amp power services. I've done anything you can imagine. I've done it. But the problem with that is when you've got that much experience and you can fix a lot of things, then I want to fix all those things myself. And then I don't allow God to help me. And then I fail. And then I ask God to help me. And then He fixes it. But how much trouble would I have saved if I would have done it to start with? And I've done a lot of messing up in my life just because I waited. And that's the thing with every bit of this. First, we have to keep God a part of our lives. It says, pick up your cross and follow Him daily, every day. And then if we do all these things, then we can reach people. We can change the world. We can affect people, and we can allow God to use us to further His kingdom and do His will in our life by loving Him and loving other people, and showing Him that we love Him, and then doing His works But I mean, just like that, I mean, if God wanted me to do that, fix that car, you know, I should have asked him to start with. How many times do we try to do things on our own, and God wanted to use us, and we didn't even listen because we didn't even ask him to be a part of it? And how many blessings do we miss of blessing other people because of it? And, you know, it's tough because I'm not the one to be up here telling you this, because I sure don't do a good job at none of it. And I guess that's why God wanted me to study it, because I need to do a lot better. And I know there's some of those areas that all of us can work and be better at. You know, and it's not a bad thing, you know, that we're not where we need to be. At the end of the day, this is where each one of us are. Some of us are further along than others. Some of us are further behind than others. It doesn't matter. But as Matt talked a few weeks ago, we got to be deliberate and intentional in doing better every day and growing. You know, Dakota says, you know, it's just like God says, you know, you're born again. When you become saved, you're born again. Your old is gone and you're new. You're like a baby. You don't know anything about God. You don't know his words. You don't know scriptures. You don't know those things. So you gotta start as a baby. And it's like you're drinking milk. But you can't, you know, as babies, they can't survive off of milk for years and years and years. They have to start eating real food. You know, as we become a Christian, we have to grow closer to God and learn about God and learn God's will for our life and get better every day. We can't stay on milk the rest of our life. We'll starve to death. We'll get burnt out. We'll quit. You know, we'll let the devil get in our lives and ruin us. And if we do that, if the devil incapacitates us to not be able to do anything, then we're no good to ourselves or anybody else. So we have to grow and mature and get off the milk, and we have to get better and get more spiritually mature. And these are the things I think are some of the things. That's not all of them. There's only 5, but those are some of the most important things I think that we can do to get a closer relationship with God and to mature spiritually, to do God's will in our life. So I hope that helps you. I know it's tore me up reading and studying it and analyzing my own life of where I am and where I need to be. And it's tough, and I think we can all do better, and I know I'm going to try my best to do better. So hope this helps you, and y'all have a good week, and we'll pray us out. God, we just thank you for bringing us all together, God, to worship you this morning, God, and spend time with you. God, we just pray that we take these 5 things and become a better Christian, God, and grow closer to you and love people more and show you that we love you, God, and have faith in you and follow you more closer every day, God. And I know we're far from where we need to be, and we can all do better, but we're going to try from this day forward to do better and do more of your will. God, just be with us, protect us as we go through this week. Keep us strong, and don't let our light go out, and let us affect the world as we go through it. Just be with us. In your name we pray. Amen.